Healthwise, brought to you with the compliments of ICBL, always there when you need us most. Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us on Healthwise tonight as we look at irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. This, put simply, is a disorder that affects the large intestines.
This is a diagram of the large intestine, the area of the bowel that the irritable bowel syndrome actually affects. As you can see, this is the ascending aspect of the ascending part of the colon, the transverse part, the descending colon, and this goes into the rectum right there. Here you can see areas of spasm, and in between is the distended bowel, and this is because of this distension that the persons actually complain of pain at the time that they're having the attack.
Now, the spasms that were mentioned before is one of the symptoms of the condition. Others vary from constipation to diarrhea and includes bloating, cramping, and abdominal distension. IBS is more common in women, and there are some risk factors to look out for.
It appears to be more common in females. There appears to be some link to the female hormones, and some women find that the symptoms become worse around or during the menstrual cycle. It is more common in young people, and if you have a family history of irritable bowel, then you are more predisposed to developing it as well.
There are certain things that trigger the onset of IBS, which is a chronic condition. Once more serious problems are ruled out, which is done at diagnosis, knowing and avoiding these triggers are a big part of managing the condition.
Some of the likely triggers are different foods. Some persons chocolate, some persons caffeine, some persons too much fiber, some persons too little fiber, and stress. Stress is also a very, very, very pertinent trigger as well. They are a standard, but what affects me may not affect you. So for some persons, they're different foods. For some persons, the symptoms vary. So for the person who has more diarrhea rather than constipation, their triggers will be slightly different, and their management then will be different. So you don't treat the diagnosis of irritable bowel, you actually treat the pertaining symptoms that each person may have.
Diagnosing IBS is most commonly done either by a colonoscopy or what's called a barium enema.
A barium enema is a radiological investigation. So it is done, you pass barium, or thick, white, viscous liquid is injected into the rectum, and air is passed. The radiologist will tell you exactly. The first thing you have to, for each of them, you have to ensure that the entire bowel is cleared. So when the barium is injected and the air, then the radiologist takes pictures with the x-ray, and then they assess by seeing what they see or they don't see. They know the norm, so they know what is abnormal. A colonoscopy is not a radiological procedure. It's actually done by the gastroenterologist, and it's a tube, long flexible tube, and they pass up through the rectum and goes around the colon, and they actually look and see what is there. Those will assess the integrity of the colon and see if there is anything there, and would then tell you if the diagnosis is a diagnosis of inflammation, a diagnosis of a malignancy, a mass, or if it is your symptoms are most likely caused by irritable bowel.
In terms of treatment, managing the triggers is the first line of defense.
So you know your triggers are the fiber or the chocolate or the caffeine, and you just know to avoid those things.
And that's tonight's program. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night. Healthwise, brought to you with the compliments of ICBL, always there when you need us most.